Tonight's workshop is about using acrylic gouache to make a painting. So there are two types of gouache available on the market. One is a traditional gouache. So this is the Pebeo brand of traditional studio gouache. And there are other brands like Holbein and Winsor and Newton and there's just a whole bunch of them out there. And these are all what we would call traditional gouache. This just says studio gouache. It doesn't say acrylic or anything anywhere on it. That means that these are gouache that you can put down and then you can re-wet them later, similar to a watercolor. It's just that they are opaque and they dry with a beautiful matte finish. Now, there's another kind of gouache which has a similar result, meaning that it's going to dry nice and matte. And for the most part, it is also opaque. And so this is the Holbein, and notice it says acrylic gouache right here. So what that means is that when the acrylic gouache dries, it is not able to be re-wetted or relifted off of the page. So it acts more like a regular acrylic paint, but oftentimes people don't like the outcome of acrylic paint where it is shiny sometimes when it is dry. And especially if you're doing illustrations and you're going to photograph or scan those illustrations, it can be difficult if you have a shiny finish when you're doing that. So I have painted something with this acrylic gouache by Holbein, and it is a fun, colorful fish. But what you're going to notice is there's a light right there in front of me, but there's no glare, no it's not, there are no hot, what are called hot spots. That's like bright white spots because the paint dries beautifully matte. That's the gorgeous thing about wash. And so I'm like into doing fish with gouache lately. So this one is was so much fun to make, and we're going to tonight use this set of, I just got it this week, so I'm excited to use it. I have other acrylic gouache too, but I just got this beautiful set. So this is a set of 18 tubes by Holbein, and let's see, it's 12 milliliters per tube. I recommend this set, the 18 set, instead of the 12 set, because you get a little bit fuller palette with the 18 set than you do with the 12 set. And there's plenty in here to color mix with. Like, for instance, there's no turquoise in here, but with the colors that were in there, I was easily able to mix this color of turquoise. And so we'll play around with that tonight, and I will show you how to do that. I'm going to put my little fishy picture aside for right now, even though I love it, right? It's my latest obsession. And these are, I went to Pixabay. So these are some of the pictures that I got off of Pixabay. And welcome in over on Whatnot. So this, you'll recognize this. This is the fish here. But of course, we're artists, right? So we get to do the image in brighter colors if we want to. But this came off of Pixabay. That's Pixabay, and I'll put a link to that in the description of the video on YouTube tomorrow. Hey there, Cheyenne Black. Welcome in over on YouTube. And then you see here the beta fish. I love these beta fish. The way that their fins fan out is just beautiful. And then the classic goldfish, of course. And then this one, I forget what these are called, silver dollar fish or something like that, because they're big and round and flat like that. And so I think we're going to start with this one, and because it's just so cute. Now, here are the colors. What I've done is this is I've already swatched them out. And this is called a painter's color diary. I love this for swatching out my various brands of colors. And the cool thing about this, well, there are a bunch of cool things. One is that it's 100% watercolor or 100% cotton watercolor paper. This is the 9 by 12 size, which would be studio size. They also have a smaller version for a travel size. Um, and it comes with the lines already on it. So if you look right here, you see that line right there was already on there. And all these lines for writing your information are also on there. And so on this page for the this Holbein acrylic gouache, besides just doing the colors here, I also did a few color mixes. So these are a few of the mixes that whenever I get a set, I like to test them out right away and see if I put the black together with the yellow, what kinds of olive greens I can get, because that's a classic trick, is to take your black and mix it with some of your yellow to get variations of olive green. And so you'll see here, um, this one being the lemon yellow together with the jet black gives us a more classic olive green. And then when you use their deep yellow, which is this one right here, you get something that looks that has more of a yellow undertone. I would call this one a green gold, for instance. And then here, the shadow gray is the ultramarine, and then their burnt sienna right here. Okay, so that's a classic combination that I like to use. No, this is Prussian blue. I'm sorry, the dark, dark, dark blue. Normally, I will use an indigo together with the burnt sienna or burnt umber. And there's no burnt umber in this set, but I'll show you in a second how you can make it. But do have a nice deep Prussian blue. So I was able to combine that with this burnt sienna to give me my gray, right? So if you want to pop in a shadow somewhere and you want a nice little gray shadow, there you go. That's your combo. And like I said, these are the combos that right away I start to test. Hey, Kim. Oh, it's Kimberly Creates over on Whatnot. Welcome in. Welcome in. Now, this one, you see where it's a much deeper brown than this up here. So this came in the set. This is the burnt sienna. But to get this deep brown, like an umber or a dark Van Dyke brown, then I used the orange. So that's up here. Is this one the orange? No, this one is the orange right here. I used the orange and the ultramarine, and that gave me, that's a classic. That's a classic that you put together, your orange and your ultramarine or your Prussian blue, and you'll get these deep dark browns. Okay. And so that's more like a burnt umber. So if there's no burnt umber in your set, now you know how to make it. And then I will usually put violet. So you see how they have their violet right here. And I will usually put that together with the various yellows and then see what kind of skin tones or browns I can get out of that. So that's what happened down here using the violet together with the different yellows to see what kind of possible skin tones I could make with that. So that's normally what I do when I first get a set and I want to swatch it out and then see what kind of variations I can get. Now, there are a lot more variations like the turquoise that I made, but I know how to just, grab a couple of colors and get that. As a matter of fact, that turquoise was this viridian color together with the ultramarine blue. Is that the ultramarine right here? The ultramarine with the viridian. Which one's the viridian? Right here. Those two together will give you a turquoise. Okay. So one of many tricks for how to color mix these colors. Now I'm going to be using the paint in a butcher tray, and butcher trays come in different sizes. Um, it's best if you can actually be in front of the butcher tray when you're buying it, because I did buy some butcher trays online because they seem like a good deal. You know what? Don't get the ones that are a good deal because the surfaces of them are not smooth. Plus, you see how this smoothly, it is a little bit bowed. It's supposed to be so that it goes like this down to the edge. But notice that there's not a channel along the edge here. This is what you want for an artist paint palette, is not to have the channel right here. And that's what I found when I ordered the inexpensive ones off of other platforms is that there was a channel there, and that meant that you had less room for your color mixing, and I didn't like that. So bite the bullet, pay the price, and get the proper artist's type palette for your butcher tray. And so this is enamel. It's nice and hard. And the nice thing is too, you can get acrylic paint and have the acrylic paint dry on here, and it's very easy to scrape it off. So that's why a lot of artists use the butcher tray. And that's what I'm going to use today to do, not to squeeze my colors into and do the color mixing. Let me give myself a little more room here. And then as in terms of paper, like what paper do you use when you're doing gouache? Anything that you would use for watercolor, you can use for gouache. Now, gouache is a little bit, it tends to be a little bit drier than watercolor. And you're less likely to wet the whole paper before you start working with gouache. So therefore, you can actually use some really fun papers with gouache that you might not normally use with watercolors. Oh, look at that. We have good evening, my honey, over on YouTube. Good evening to you too. So this is something that I got recently this week that I wanted to share with y'all. And we're going to try it tonight with this acrylic gouache. And it is ugly. It's ugly paper, UGLY. This is what it looks like here. They make the ugly book, and this is one of their ugly books right here. The cool thing about these is you see the paper inside here. So they have incredible, these are made in the USA, by the way. And so they have this incredible paper inside it that you can use as a sketchbook. And that this is the small pocket size. They also have a bigger size. Here are the other ones that I got. I bought a set of 3. So you can see these have paper in them that already have a brilliant or a bright color on them, which a lot of people, when they paint with oil paints or acrylic paints, often they will tint their background first. A lot of times people use pink in the background. So guess what? I have a notebook that already has pink in the background. I'm so excited to start working in that. But besides the ugly books that they call those, they also have this pad. And in the pad, you can see here, this one has these 5 colors of paper, and these are 9 by 12. So here I've got the pad, and you see how bright the color is. So I can, it is 100 and let me see what pounds. It's acid free. This is 25 sheets, 175 GSM. So a normal watercolor paper, 140 pounds, is 300 GSM. So this is just under 200 GSM. But I'll tell you, the paper is still, it's thick. It's still nice and thick. And so I thought tonight we would use one of these fun ones. But there are, you see the light blue there, there's the orange, there's that bright pink, which I'm excited about. And then this one has a turquoise blue. So you're able to start with a background already in place. And we're going to use one of those for tonight for what we're going to be doing. And then, but any other kind of watercolor paper will work as well. I just happen to have next to me, this is a Fumui watercolor paper pad. This is actually called a block. So it'll say right here, block. So a watercolor block or a paper block means that the paper is glued all together. So right here, this is all glued together, glued together, glued together. And you'll notice here it says open. So there's actually a little section right here where there's no glue. And that is so that if you're working with watercolor, or if you like to use your, you could put watercolor in the background and then put your gouache, which is your opaque paint on top. So when you do that, when you use a lot of water, a lot of times people like to use a watercolor block because it holds the paper down and you don't have to worry about the paper curling. So we're going to see the difference between if some paper like this that's not made for watercolor, it's more made for sketching, right? We're going to see if we use the gouache on it, if this is going to curl any or not. I don't know, because the acrylic we do, or the acrylic gouache, we still have to use a little bit of water with it to do our thing. So that's just me experimenting, right? Now, what kind of brushes are we going to use with our gouache? You're going to use, you can actually use brushes that are made for acrylics or brushes that are made for watercolor. Do not, for the acrylic, for the ones that are acrylic based, so these are acrylic based gouache, I would suggest that you do not use your better natural hair brushes. Okay. First of all, in general, the natural hair brushes are a little more soft. And when you're working with gouache, you're going to need a brush that's like a medium to hard, okay, in terms of the spring of it. And if you're using natural hairs like your sable or anything like that, the hairs tend to be a little more soft. And so it'll be harder to get the paint off of the brush. But any of your brushes that are for like this, these are from Princeton. They're the Velvet Touch. Let me see if you can see that right there. The Princeton Velvet Touch. So the Princeton Velvet Touch line, I love it because they're synthetic hairs. There's a little bit of snap to the hair, and you can use it for acrylics, or you can use it, well, I use it for oil, acrylics, or watercolor. Now, of course, if you're going between acrylics and watercolor or oil and watercolor, you have to clean them really well in between because you don't want any residual oil sitting in there, right? But they come in all different kinds of uh, top shapes. So here's some of my round ones right here of the Velvet Touch. Now, these are the short handled Velvet Touch. Velvet Touch also makes a long handle. So you need to look at that when you're buying brushes. If you have a long handle, so this is a Velvet Touch long handle brush. This is more for when you're working on a canvas and the canvas is way over there and you can stand back and use your brush like this on it. Then the long handled brushes work well for that. Now, for what I'm doing on the table with you, I'm going to need a short handled brush so you can see the big difference between the long handle and the short handle there, right? And yeah, most of my brushes are short handled, but yes, when I'm sitting at my big easel and I have a large canvas on it, I do like to use the longer handled brushes because then you're more loose if you can be further away, right, from your canvas. So tonight we're going to be working with the Velvet Touch short handled brushes because it helps when you're working with watercolor or gouache if you have two water containers. It just makes it easier. Sometimes you have to do some extra cleaning with your brush, especially when you're going from colors that are white, like very white or very dark. You often have to do that second rinse on your brush. Okay, I think that is it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in front of me so that as I'm painting, I can see my color choices. Because in the tube, they do a good job of showing you on the tube approximately what the color is. But I like to see it like this so I know a little bit better. So I'm going to set this up in front of me and we're going to come over top of the table. We're going to start out with a sketch. Let's see, I need a smaller piece of paper for my first sketch. So hang on, hang on. What do I have here? I always have lots of stuff around me. So this is an 8x8 watercolor, a lesser expensive watercolor. It's not 100% cotton, by Grumbacher. And I think we'll start on that and then we'll go to that funny colored paper, because we need to warm up, right? I painted this fish yesterday. So I need to get a little warm up going today. All right, I'm going to go over top of the table. So Kimberly says, is gouache always opaque or are some colors transparent like watercolor? Okay, excellent question, Kimberly. And let me show you one of the reasons that I like to do my swatching on this color diary is because it has a black line right here. So can you see that, for instance, with this magenta, you can still see the black line through there. So this is practically transparent, the magenta color. Okay. The violet, I would say, is semi opaque. In other words, you can still see the black line, but it's difficult to see the black line. All right. And then, of course, the jet black, that almost hides the whole black line there. Yes, it's great to have the black line. Even when I'm working on, let's say I don't have my color diary with me, but I'm swatching some colors, I always will take some sort of permanent black pen and usually a ruler like this, and then I'll just make myself those lines. And then when I do my swatches, I'm looking at the swatch over top of a dark black line as well, so that I can see how transparent or opaque it is. And surprisingly, the Prussian blue, which is quite a dark blue, look, you can still see the line through it just a little bit, right? And so by looking at that, I'm like, oh, okay, the Prussian blue is not as dark, not as opaque as I might think. Now, this set that I'm showing you here is not the professional. This is the studio version, not the professional version of the Holbein acrylic gouache. Okay. They do have a more expensive version. Um, and I love the expensive version because you can buy the individual colors and the expensive ones. But hey there, Tom Shades Art. Welcome in. Welcome in. You did not miss the painting. Said, did I miss the painting? No, we're just getting ready to do that in a moment. I was just chatting about the paint that we're working with. And so when you see this, this is the student grade right here. All right. So when you're using student grade, of course, oftentimes they will have, or studio grade, oftentimes they will have a little more filler in them because they're not as pigmented as your more expensive tubes. You know what? I am going to get a more expensive tube and show it to you because I have them right over here in my studio. And so I want to show you the difference between the Holbein student tube here and what the Holbein professional tubes look like, which if you go into your local art store and you buy the single tubes, you're going to be buying this professional grade. Okay, here we go. Ugh, I got to get the box out of here. Hopefully you're still hearing me because I walked away just a little bit. All right, all right, all right. Drum roll, drum roll. Boom. There's a box in my studio and professional grade. Okay, it still has that A on it. That's to tell you that it is acrylic. Okay, that's important to know that whether it's traditional, meaning you can re-wet it, or if it's acrylic based. So if you see the little A on the Holbein ones, that is an acrylic base. And so you can see I have all these. This is a Winsor and Newton. So I have all this professional grade um, acrylic gouache from Holbein. So these are the more expensive ones, but the reason there's a whole box here is because I bought a lot off of somebody and they were just getting rid of their stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I paid a lot, but I knew what I was getting. Now, I pulled this out just a second ago and I said, oh, that's Winsor and Newton. This is traditional gouache. What that means is this is re-wettable even after it's dry, right? Kimberly said, great grab. I know, look. And there were even a few more colors in here too that I already took out. Wow. But it was just a hodgepodge of gouache and it included traditional gouache like this Winsor and Newton. This is another traditional Winsor and Newton, meaning that they will re-wet with water. But the most of it was this absolutely stunning professional grade Holbein gouache. Yeehaw! So I have yet to like organize these and swatch them and get ready to paint with them. But I just got this one this week because I wanted to try their lesser grade. because I have used some of their professional grade, and oh my gosh, they're just they're like butter, they're like butter. But these are fabulous. What I noticed is that these um, in the plastic tubes like this, they're slightly more runny. They have a little more water content in them than the ones I just showed you. The ones I just showed you come out a little bit thicker. Okay. Um, but it's all good. It's all good. You know what? You can paint with all of it. It's great. Okay, I'm just going to set my my color schemes aside here so that I can see them, but they're just off to the side. Ooh, I need to get a drink of water for sure. There we go. Okay, let's see what you can see. You can see this right here. And then I just want to make sure everything is in screen for you. You can see my water. Oh. Okay, so we are going to start with this Grumbacher paper, which is it's a 140-pound watercolor paper, so it's good paper. If you see it on sale, definitely pick it up. This one, it happens to be cold pressed, so there's a little bit of texture, and I like with the gouache when I have paper with just that little bit of texture, because then I can dry brush, meaning drag the brush with not too much water in it across, and then I get it catches the top of the paper. So if you see here on the fish I already did, can you see the blue is dry brushed over the top of the fish there? And so if you have texture to your paper, then you can take advantage of that with your fish. So let me, let's go ahead, pick the fish. Maybe for this one, we'll start with this fish. It is so cute, isn't it? I think, like I said, I think they called it a silver dollar. So I can either sketch first or I can just go for it. But I think I'm going to sketch first just a little bit. Let's put these in here while I'm sketching. And one of the things I like to do is I like to, when I'm doing my sketches, I like to use a water soluble pencil. So this happens to be Caran d'Ache Super Color. And of course, since I'm working with a fish that has a bunch of orange in it, um, this kind of pencil will just melt into the background. It is an aquarelle. So right here, do you see the little brush on there? That means it's water soluble. I have a little cup with a bunch of water soluble pencils next to me. I'm just looking to see. This is another one I like to use, but these are very hard to get. This is the Magnus by Faber-Castell. It's just a little chunkier, but since we're working on a smaller space, I think I'll use this one, the Caran d'Ache Super Color. So let's just give ourselves an idea of a sketch for here. Maybe put the mouth put the mouth right here. So let's just do the mouth like this. And you know what? This does not have to be exact because we're just playing. That's one of the things I like. I like for my artwork to be sort of uh, more fanciful. So the mouth is right here and it comes, you may not be able to see this very well because it is just very light. And that is the whole idea, right? Is that it is light. Let's bring this all the way back here. Boop. And then we have a little tail, like a little classic fish tail that comes out here. Okay, let me bring it up closer so you can see, right? Now, what you're going to notice, I'm noticing, is my tail's way over here close to the edge, but there's all this space right here. Dang it. So if you're using, even though this is a water soluble pencil, the nice thing is because I am using a pencil of some sort, I can still erase it. Should I erase it? Maybe I'll just say, the heck with it. Let's just go for it. And then we will later bear that in mind for the next one. Okay, so I'm just getting the belly in here. And then up here, the fish kind of goes like this. There's a big difference between where the fin is. Let's see, the fin starts about here. Okay, so I've got my fin going. Where's my eye? My eye, my eye. Oh, we've got some gills down here. So I'm just giving myself some reference points. And the eye, where's that little eye right here? Hello, fishy, fishy. There we go. And right back behind here, there's another fin that comes up and then goes like this. Okay, cool. I'm actually going to make that fin bigger. Might as well. Let's make the fin just a little bit bigger. There. So it looks a little more in proportion. Do you see that? So I just love using the water soluble because I can either erase it or I can use a little bit of water on a brush and get rid of it that way too if I want to. Gives you choices, right? Choices, choices. Okay. So let me get some smaller brushes here. Again, we're using the Princeton Velvet Touch brushes tonight, which are perfect for acrylics and watercolors. So they work, and they're pretty snappy. So they work really well with the acrylics. I mean, with the acrylic gouache, I find. Ooh, let's take this one. I only have 10 million of these brushes here, right? Almost every size. Okay, let's see what I'm gonna want. Do I want to start with the background? No, we'll start with the fish. Okay, so we're definitely gonna need some orange and some scarlet. I can see that. There's some black on there. Ooh, the eye is actually quite red, so that is the carmine right there. We're gonna need greens for the background, so I'm gonna do this green and this green. And then there's a little bit of blue in there. Let's take a little bit of the ultramarine, I think. Okay. So I'm going to work with these later. We're going to start out with these to create a pattern on the fish. Um, and so let's start with the orange. And I'll show you when I squeeze it out, you'll see what I mean by it's a little bit on the wet side. Because when I squeeze out my traditional gouache, it tends to have a little more thickness, a little more body to it. But this comes out a little bit wetter, which is fine. It's fine. It's all good. Let's see, which brush do I want? This is the size 4 round. And let's just pick some of this up. Now, what's going to happen is, let me show you how opaque it is straight out of the tube, okay? So this is how opaque it is straight out of the tube. Pretty opaque. You can still see that black line right there, just a little bit, right? But it is pretty opaque straight out of the tube. So I do like to get my brush wet in order to have it soak up the color into the brush first. So let's go ahead, and we want it to be kind of cream or a slightly thicker consistency. So like cream that you would put in your coffee, right? So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna look at the picture and just sort of run this around here and just create some interesting. What's interesting about this fish is it has really, it's more white spots, and then the orange just sort of fills in the white spots. So if you were more comfortable filling in or putting dots in first and then painting over top of the dots, you could use a masking fluid. But I'm just going to go for it and put. What I find with gouache is you do periodically have to get water on your brush, because otherwise it's difficult to get the paint to come off of the brush. The paint almost gets stuck on the brush because the paint is kind of thick. Okay. Let's do this. We have another little area here. So I'm just looking at my picture and I'm going to pull it up to you closer in just a minute because I want you to see how this goes on pretty thickly. Okay. It's not like usually with watercolor, the idea is lots of water. And so it's watercolor has a lot of, uh, you don't see the texture like you see it here. So let me just bring this here and round it. If you ever have done neurographic art, the idea is that you don't so much want hard hard points here. If you look at the fish and you look at these areas, you see how they're very organic and very rounded, the shapes. They don't come to a point. So just bear that in mind as you're putting your color down here. So I did just grab some more water. I'll bring this up to you in just a moment so you can see kind of where I'm going with this. I'm observing the picture and putting some of this design on here. Let's see. I think we'll do that. And then there's a little bit there. And then this comes down. So there's a lot of orange, and then there's pretty designs around the orange. Okay, let me bring that up closer so you can see. I don't know if it picks it up on the camera, but it's the paint dry, it's gonna dry opaque and it's rather thick. It's coming off thick. Now, if I wanted something that was a little more pale, all I have to do is add more water to it. So for instance, up here in the fin on the top, I'm just adding more water. And by adding more water, it's making it a little less opaque and a little more sort of filmy. So let me just bring some of this up here. There's a little bit more right along here. And so this is going to have a little less thickness to it, like that. But make sure that all those little edges are rounded. Yep, a lot more water. So your paints can definitely go a long way. And again, I've got a lot of water on there, so it's going to be a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter. Okay, cool. And then this comes like this. I'm just looking at the picture and then making things happen, making sure that I round any edges that look like they're a little too sharp, because most of the spots are very rounded. Okay, there we go. Nice. Let's grab a little bit more with more water. And what else are we going to do here? We've got a little bit that comes down here, and then it sort of branches off and out like this. Now, I can see it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'll show you as it dries that that this is lighter than this because this has more water in it and this is thicker. All right, right out of there. So it is going to affect how it looks, how orange, how deep orange or not is it going to look. Okay, so these are just, there's some sort of veins coming off of here. What else? We've got some more here that sort of goes like this and this. And one of the reasons I wanted the lighter is because back in this area, the color is a little lighter, a little more muted. So it's darker here near the face, and then it gets lighter back in here. So I'll show you that in a minute, but let me just put in a few more of these little spots here. Okay. And then there's a little bit more here. And that goes there. I don't even have to follow what Mother Nature has provided. I'm just using it as a guide. Let's just do this. And now I have to let this orange dry because I'm going to be using blue back in here, and blue is the opposite of orange. So if if this orange is wet and I try to put blue in that area to darken it a little bit, it's going to cause a problem where the orange and the blue touch. So let's get some more spots going in here. So to me, this is very meditative. This process is quite meditative because you're just sort of following along with Mother Nature and making some lines, bringing some of them together. We've got our spots here. Make sure there are no sharp edges, right? You want those rounded edges. So there we go. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but this area right here is a little lighter than this area because of all that water. Okay, I'm grabbing a little bit more water, and let me see if I can finish this area over here. Let's make some little circles here. Okay. And then there's just a little bit more. And as you go back this way, they get a little closer together because the fins are smaller back in here. Oh, nice. Okay, there we go. Now, if you look at the image here, and like I said, I got these images off of Pixabay. So if you go to Pixabay and you just say fish, you're going to get images like this and like this. And so this one, um, if you look here between where the fin meets the body, so this is the body part right here, and this is the fin part right here. It's very subtle, the shift from those two parts of the body. It's just up here in the fin. You see that little bit of blue that's in there? That sort of is shadowy. It defines the fin up there. So that's why I didn't make like a specific line for the fin. Let's do this and round that edge right there. And this one, I have to round the edge right here. Rounded, rounded, fabulous. Now around the eye, what do we have going on around the eye? It's a little bit lighter around the eye as well. So I'm just bringing it, ooh, the lips are, there's barely any orange in the lips. So I'm gonna add a lot of water here. If you add a lot of water to your gouache, it's like you have watercolor. So I'm actually making the lips a little darker than they are. Now, since they are a little darker, here we go. I'm gonna bring in a paper towel and I'm just gonna lift a little bit of it, and then that way it makes them a little bit lighter, right? There we go. We're gonna work on the eye in just a minute here. Um, I'm just looking to see, oops, let me do that to be sure I can see what everybody's saying over on YouTube. Now, one thing you have to be careful of when you're using an acrylic based, oh, thank you, Opal Marketplace. I appreciate it. It said beautiful. So when you're working with an acrylic gouache as opposed to a traditional gouache, you do have to keep an eye on your palette. You don't want the paint to dry too much. Okay. If it dries, you're going to end up with paint that won't re-wet. So I always have, oh, you need to get dinner ready. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for popping in the over on Whatnot. So this is just a bottle of water. And if it looks like it begins to get dry, you can just squirt it with a little bit of water, and that helps to keep it moist because this is an acrylic base. Thank you, Krista, said pretty. So this is an acrylic based paint, not like a traditional gouache. Traditional gouache is not acrylic based. It has a base that is re-wettable. Okay, so like I said, I'm making sure that I round off any of my edges here. So these are not, the spots are not jagged. They are quite rounded. Let's round out that space right there. Woohoo! And then let's see if I can, how fast I can do this. I'm just looking again at the body to see how I can, okay, let's get some more going here. There's not a lot up around the eye. The eye has a lot of sort of whiteness around it. So let's just do this. And I'm just making some of this up as I go along. Just to be sure I can get this going and get it done for you. Okay. So if you have any jagged edges, make sure to round them. And this right here is going to be a little more rounded in there. Okay, cool. There's a lot of water in this part of the orange right here. So it is straight out of the tube, it's a lot darker. But right now I'm working in areas where the pattern is a little bit lighter, especially as it goes underneath the this fin that's right here that we drew in. So I'm actually going to bring it under the, I'm going to add more water. Let's add a bunch of water so it's like super light underneath there, underneath the fin. More rounded. And then, so round that part right there. Make sure all of your edges there are no sharp edges. They're all rounded. Even here, this one. Okay, and if you weren't here earlier, this is the fish we're working on right here. So like that. And I'm using Holbein Acrylic Gouache and water. Okay, let's see. There's down here, we've got a little bit more that kind of comes up. I'm using the Princeton Velvet Touch brush here. Okay, there's a little bit of, kind of does this right here because we've got some, we sort of have our gills going right here. So I'll just mark in the gills. And what else do we have up here? I'm just connecting some of these areas after the fact. There we go, making sure there are no hard edges, that they're rounded. Hello, fishy, you're so cute. Now I know that there's a lot more white space in here, so let's just sort of do this. And I put lots of water on my brush here. Okay, I can see a little bit of my pencil mark of where I did the fin. So I have to keep some of that available for me so I can see where I'm going to mark the fin in. Okay, no sharp edges, just like neurographic art. But now I want to bring some of these a little more larger white spaces here. Round out the corners. There we go. Nice. Now I can get back to some darker. There's some darker down here. Welcome in, welcome in. I see some new people coming in. I am doing an art class right now with Holbein Acrylic Gouache. So this is acrylic paint, but it has a gouache consistency. So it's kind of thick and it is going to dry opaque. And it'll dry matte. I'll have a matte finish to it. There we go. Let's make sure there's no sharp edges there. Nope. Okay. So when I take it straight from the blob that I put down, it comes out, it's a little bit thicker. So that's good. Let's do this. There's a little sort of circle right there. I'm following along with a picture of the fish that I have. Okay, let's do this right there. And along here, we've got some orange on the fin right there. And there's a sharp corner there, so we have to round that because if you'll notice, I gotta go. Oh, thank you very much, Patty Lamb. Thank you, thank you. Each Sunday at 5:30ish, I start my art classes, and they can be all different subjects and mediums. So feel free to pop in anytime on a Sunday evening. And you can always come to my profile as well on Whatnot and see the artwork that I have available for sale because I have hundreds of pieces in Whatnot under my profile. Okay, here we go. And then this part right here. And I first drew in, so it's difficult to see, but there are some lines here that I drew in with a watercolor pencil so that I would have, doop, so that I would have a reference point here. Okay, there. I was looking at the face and I saw, oops, I need to pull some things together on the face there. There's a fin right here, but I'm going very lightly with the orange for an orange background because I'm going to be putting some blue in there. There we go. And just like neurographic art, round out any corners that might be there. Just round them out, y'all, round them out. Okay. So this kind of comes like this, and we've got a little bit of that going on there. What else do we have down here? We have some more where it's a little bit wider, and then it sort of comes up like this on the fin. On the fin, there we are. A little bit more on the fin there as well. So there's where it doesn't go all the way up there. Let's just do this and round it out like that. Working on the fin. What else do we have on the fin from here? It actually comes down and sort of goes like that on the fin there too. Okay. Nice. Let's see. What else do we have? We have a little bit more here where it comes up like this. Doop. And then another one right here where it just comes up and over like this. And then like that. Okay. Yay. And if, as I mentioned earlier, if you notice some of this acrylic gouache drying, just re-moisten it. So I'm just going back over the parts that are starting to dry and adding a little bit more moisture in there. But you don't want it to be soupy because otherwise that will give you a look more like watercolor. And we're not going for watercolor here. We're going for something that looks more like it's a little bit thicker and a little more punchy color, so that would be your opaque gouache. Okay, let's do this and a little bit more here. I saw that. Oh, almost done with the orange, and then we can start working on some other colors here. There we go. And then this is going to come up and we're going to have more. Remember, the dots on these fish are rounded, no sharp corners there. So that's why I'm taking this and I'm rounding it out instead of having sharp corners. Actually, I see a sharp corner up here, which should not be there because those white spots are not sharp. There's a sharp corner here. Just round out those sharp corners. There we go. Any other sharp corners? There's a corner right there. Corner right there. It's just the same thing that I do with my neurographic art. After I'm finished with neurographic art, which is where you take every V and you turn it into a U, uh, then I go back and I look at my piece and say, oh, there's a corner. Oh, there's a corner. And then I fix the corners so that everything has a smooth shape to it. There we go. That's better. Except for in the area where the gill is right here. There was some that was not so smooth. There were some angles right there. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We have more. So we have like another circle right here. And then another circle right in here. And in between the circles, we have a bunch of orange there. That sort of connects them together. There we go. Almost done with that area. Let's see here. Now there's a lot more fin back in here, and the closer you get to the end of the fin, the closer together these lines are. So let me just put a bunch of more lines in here like this. So this is the fin area. Oops, I just got my finger across there, but I am not going to worry about that. It's original art, y'all. If there are mistakes, you know what? It doesn't matter. Because we're human, and guess what? We make mistakes, right? It happens. Okay, let's bring this one up here. Like that. Nice. Cute fish. Cute, cute, cute. Here we go. If you're on Whatnot, feel free to go into the Buy Now tab, and the bin is absolutely chock full of different kinds of artwork, both originals and prints. If you're interested in art prints, then just type that in, art print, and you will see a bunch of different types of prints of artworks that I've made in the bin for that. Let's do this and then bring it up like that. Make it a little fatter right there. Like that. Okay. So here's the top fin. Here's the bottom fin. And yeah, let me just connect some of these together a little bit more. Nice. Okay, fabulous, fabulous. I like where it's going. There's a little bit more in here. Now, part of this is getting dry where I thinned it out with more water. So I'm just spraying it a little bit to keep it moist, right? So I do have a little bit more water over in this area. Let me get plenty of water on my brush there, because as it goes back, it diffuses just a little bit here. And so if I add more water to it, it'll be more, it'll be less opaque. It'll have a little more translucency to it, the more water you put in there. Okay, that's good. And then here has an interesting shape to it. And round out those corners. We don't want to have everything should be smooth. And we've got something here, and it comes up here. So let's just fill some of this in to give us a nice rounded shape right there. There we go. As well as here, we need a nice rounded shape. These fish have what look like white spots on them. And so they're less angular. There are a few angular spots, but most of it is rounded. There's that. And then make that rounded as well. Okay, cool. So if you've ever done neurographic art, then this will totally make sense to you. Uh, where you're taking every V and you're rounding it. So let's do this. This is going to come like now I'm sort of at this point I'm sort of making it up, okay? And that is okay. Let's do this. And round that off. And then we've got we have the fin going right there. So let me just pick some of that up. I have my fin right in here. I have to keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's sort of complete a circle right in here. Lots of orange there. Oh, this little guy's so cute. Okay, we don't want to have anything sharp there. So we'll round those edges. We'll bring this down here. And then what else do we do here? We'll just bring this like this, round that edge, round this part right here, right? So every so often, I'm looking at my picture right here to get a feel for what does it look like? What does the fish look like? Doesn't have to be an exact replica. It's just to give me some ideas as to where I'm going here. Do that, do that. There we go. And then I've got a little bit more coming up in here. We'll just round that out. We have a little more here. We'll round that out. Cool. Here, I actually have like a little line that sort of goes here like that. And there's a line that comes along here, but there are a few little circles that show up in there. So let's just round that out right there. No corners, so we have to round that part out as well. Round that part out. Okay. I like it. I think that's good right there. Okay, this is on Grumbacher watercolor paper that we're using right now. Okay, let's put the eye in. Now, the thing with this paint, these gouache acrylics, is that you can't really put the paint back in the tube. So you want to use a little bit. In other words, you can just put more back on your palette if you need to. The other thing that you can do to help keep it moist for your working session is to use something like a Masterson's wet. It's called a Stay Wet palette. I have where is it? It's somewhere in my studio here. I'm looking because it used to always be sitting right over there, but it's not there right now. I know where it is. It's in the kitchen because I cleaned it. So a Masterson's Stay Wet palette, just like it indicates, it there's a sponge underneath it, and then there's a special paper that you put on top of it that helps stay wet. And so that way you can put this acrylic gouache on top of that, and it'll keep it wet even after, let's say that I'm going on to do another project. It'll keep that wet for a while. It won't dry out. So then you're less likely to lose the paint. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have the right here, I have the fin. Well, I'm going to go to a smaller brush. This is a size 4. Let's grab the size. Oop, there's another. Why do I have 2 size 4s? I don't know. I think because I have 2 places in my studio where I paint, and so this one probably belongs in the other area. Okay, you are a size 50. That's too tiny, I think. Here's the size 2. Let's see what we have here. So there is a size 2, comes to a nice point right there. I want to put the eye in, that's why. So the eye is sort of a carmine color, and it's very small, right? So I don't need to squeeze some of this onto my palette. I can just, well, there's usually a little bit on in the lid here. So I can just get a tiny bit from the lid and then go ahead and put it on that way. Yee. Let's see where okay. I'm going to leave a little area where I can put the black in. There we go. And it is getting a little bit dry, so I'm going to add a little bit water to my brush. A little bit more water to my brush. Like this. There we go. So now we've got, yay, I've got the fisheye, and I didn't have to squeeze this out. There was enough in the lid there. So when I have little things that I need to do, that's what I do. I just grab it like that. Right. I can see that this is, yep. Okay, cool, 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 cool. And then now around the fish, there's a lot of white. See this? But there is a little bit of pink and a little bit of blue right in here. So let's look at that. And so I've already got this little tiny bit. Let's take a little tiny bit more. It's almost like it's a reflection of the eye, right? So I'm going to take just a tiny bit and put it on there. And I don't need it to be thick because it's barely there. So I'm going to put lots of water on my brush, and now it's going to act more like a watercolor because I have a lot more water on my brush. And so I'm going to just come in here and put a little bit of that pink in here around the eye because that's kind of a reflection, right? And then I'm going to just go up over top of the lip right there. And then down here, just get just a little bit more color. So this is where the gills are, and here. So I'm just dropping a little bit of that very, very pale pink in there. So the carmine, when you add a lot of water to it, it gives you a very pale, very pink, pinkety pink. Okay, so I'm just filling in a little bit of this with some of that pink. Let's see, any more pink? There's the area right in front of here, and actually right underneath here is a little bit of pink. This is the fin. I'm putting a little bit underneath the fin to make it look like there's just that slight shadow right in there. You can, once the bottom layer is dry, I can just continuously layer more color on top of it because it is acrylic gouache and not traditional gouache. If you're using a traditional gouache, which is rewettable, and you brush on it too much, it's going to lift up. Surprise! And if you don't want it to do that, you just work with the acrylic gouache, and then it's not quite so delicate. Once the underlayer is dry, you can just glaze it and go over top of it with these other colors, and it will not relift. Hallelujah, right? So I'm just coming in with a little bit of the pink here, just to give it a little extra. So I'm giving a little structure to the face right there. We're also going to use a little bit of blue for that as well. But okay, there we go. So that was that. Now there's a bunch of blue down in here and a bunch of blue in here. So let's take a little bit of the blue. And I'm just going to put out a dollop right here. The blue, not too much. You're better off using less and just adding more, unless, of course, you're color mixing. If you're color mixing, then you need to color mix more than you think you're going to need. Now I'm going from the size 2 to the size 4 because I want to do a little bit more of that glazing. So here I'm actually adding a lot of water because I just want a hint of the blue. I don't want too much of the blue. It may still be too much. Let's see. That's a lot of blue, but we'll have our paper towel at the ready. Oh, good. It looks good. Yay. I don't want to put too much of the blue over the orange because um, blue and orange together make brown. And if I glaze the orange with too much blue, I may get a visual, what appears to be sort of a brown muddy color. So I'm being careful not to put too much over top of the orange. So here you can put your color in and then hit it with a paper towel and lift it back out. And then that will just make it more pale. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just glazing a little bit of this blue into there. And then using a fresh part of the paper towel and just picking it back up. There we go. Also, the nice thing about using blue with orange is blue and orange are opposite each other on the color wheel. So it actually, they look really good next to each other because they are opposite. If you mix them together, you're going to get mud. But if you put them next to each other, like I'm doing here, then they look really nice next to each other. Okay, there we go. So I'm just adding the blue to make it look like the that's the fin up there. Okay, almost. Let's lift some of that and lift some of this. You have to be careful when you're lifting that you don't take a part where there's, hey, thanks for the hearts over on Whatnot. I appreciate it. You have to be careful that you don't have paint on there when you go to lift because you don't want to deposit more color around what you're already doing, which is really annoying when you do that. Can you tell I've done it before? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Okay, I'm sort of going to do this because I'm imagining that there's sort of a line right here where the fin is. And so I'm adding that little bit of blue to give you the impression of where the beginning of the fin starts. Okay, here we go. And then here like this. Whoa. Okay, cool. Oh, nice. It's looking good. Looking good. And then a little bit more. It's a little bit, I don't have as much blue in it here back at this end. So that's why I picked up a little bit more. Ooh, fantastic. Okay. You're looking good, little fishy. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to drop just a little bit of the darker down in this area because I want you to kind of see where the fin meets the body. I want it to be slightly darker. Okay, there we go. So it just sort of gives you an, visually, it gives you an idea of where it meets the body. This one's a little bit too much right there. And a little too much right there. There we go. Remember that once it's dry, that's it, y'all. That's it. Once it's dry, it's permanent. It's not like regular gouache. Okay, well that looks pretty good. Let me bring it up so you can see right there. Woohoo. Hello, fishy. It's beginning to come alive, right? Now the same is true down here. We've got some of that blue down in this area. So if I wanted to, I could just wash right over it. But like I said, I don't really want to wash over it when I've got, so I don't want to glaze over it with blue because why? I've got orange under it, and orange and blue together make brown. So I don't want the two colors to sort of intermingle. I want them to be separate. So that means I have to come in here with a little brush and go in between those orange areas. And you know what? It's okay if you leave some white. If you've watched me before, like, you don't have to fill the whole space. It's okay if there's white in there. And what I'm doing is I'm drawing the color from the bottom up. And by doing that, naturally, I'm leaving a little bit of the thickness, the darkness up at this end. Now that's a little too dark right there. There we go. Let's just come in between here. Oop, I got a little bit on the orange. Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it too much. This is just fun, right? We're having fun. But it's looking good. She is looking good. Hey, thank you, Packing Llama, for sharing the show on Whatnot. I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you have some arty friends out there who can benefit. Now, I also, not only do I save my past shows on Whatnot, so you can always go to my Whatnot past shows if you miss something and watch it, but also I simulcast this to YouTube. So you can go to my YouTube channel and watch it on YouTube. And I go back in the YouTube channel and I add links to the art supplies used if they're things that I don't sell. Because what I sell on Whatnot is my finished artwork. And, but here, let me show you real quick YouTube right here. So here is my YouTube address. I'll hold that up for just a second so you can take a picture of it if you want to. How do you do that? Put it on YouTube. Ah, awesome. On Whatnot, there is a function within Whatnot that allows you to simulcast. And you can simulcast to a couple of different platforms, YouTube being one of them. And I've had a YouTube channel for a long time. So I said, oh, that's perfect. I can simulcast these to YouTube. So I actually have an audience on YouTube watching right now. Some people watching over there. And I watch their comments as well because oftentimes they will also ask me questions over there on YouTube. And so I go back after the show is over and I add in those links in the description of the video for instance, this acrylic paint, because this acrylic gouache, because I use my acrylic gouache. I'm not selling it. Um, but I have where you can buy it if you want some. What I do sell on Whatnot is I have a little bit of I have little tins. Oh, you recently had your first art show. Congratulations. Let me go ahead and follow you. Awesome. EAW19. So anybody else that's in the live stream over on Whatnot, go follow our fellow artisan over there. Thanks for letting me know. That's awesome. When's your next oh, you only got $10. Well, in art, it is touch and go. Some shows you make a lot and some shows you don't. So I come on to Whatnot on Sunday afternoons and do a free live art class because it's a discipline for me to make sure that I show up and make art every week. Next Sunday is yours. What is the timing? Is it before the time we're doing it now, I would imagine? Sounds like it because you popped into my show now. But there you go. So this is me. Oh, 5 p.m. Okay, cool. So this is me using the acrylic gouache. So once that dries, and I was using it more like a wash in this particular case, okay? Now there's a little bit, I don't even know if, yeah, I want to use a little bit of this blue and put it in the fin back here. Even though the fin is like clear with black, I want to use a little bit of blue and make it put blue sort of as the background. Oh my gosh, it dried so fast. It doesn't want to re-wet because it's an acrylic gouache. Ah. So what I'm doing with the back fin is I'm also putting some blue in the background, and then I'll come back with the black after it's dry to create the ribs. So right now I'm just creating a blue background for the ribs. There we go. So it kind of matches the top fin and the bottom fin. And then I'm also going to have to add some to the side fin over here. Okay, cool. So now I've got my tail going. Hello there. It's looking good. Let's see, a little bit more of the blue. See, my orange is all dry right here. Let me see if I can even re-wet it. I don't know. It may, no, it's starting to break up because it is acrylic. So it you have to spray it or put it in one of those Masterson's palettes if you want it to stay wet. The Masterson's Stay Wet palette. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to put a little bit of blue, and I'm actually going to put the blue over even the orange because this fin is over top of the orange, right? The orange was behind it. So I'm going to use my cloth and I'm going to pick some of that up because I don't want it to be too dark. I just want it to be the background for my little fin. There we go. So can you see that? The background for the fin. Do I have any Melissa Chappelle? Oh, do I know Melissa Chappelle? I do not. Does Melissa do and this is on Whatnot. Is Melissa an artist on Whatnot? Is it somebody I need to follow? If so, put their handle there on in the comments so that I can click on it and go check them out. Okay, so there's the little bit of blue here. I'm also going to use, she's an artist, but not from Whatnot. Oh, okay, so I should write her name down and then go check her out. Let me write the name down here. Let's see, Melissa. Melissa, okay, Melissa artist. Okay, I will go check them out. So thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. Oh, she was my art teacher from high school. Oh, that's awesome. I teach art right now at our local art. It's for Bradenton, a local art league, and they just built a oh, you recently graduated. That's awesome. That is awesome. Um, so it's a local art um, collective um, run by the county, or the county is one of the benefactors anyway. And so they just built a brand new gorgeous facility here in Bradenton, and I am teaching there. So yahoo, love that. And then, so I'm just putting in a little bit more blue here just to indicate some shadow, especially for the gills that come down, right? There we go. Nice. And then around the eye, yes, there's a little bit of blue also here around the eye. Perfect. And toward the face. There we go. And I'm going to pick a little bit of that up because I don't want it to be too dark. All right. Nice. Nice. Now, a lot of this, awesome, said, I don't like taxes and being a grown woman. I understand. I do understand. I'm in my 60s, so I've been around with a big art studio, with a little art studio, the whole works. Right now, I'm fortunate I bought a house that has a whole half of the house as an art studio. It wasn't an art studio, it was a bedroom and a sitting room, but I turned the whole thing into my art studio. Woohoo! You know, so I'm very lucky that I can work right from home. There's where we're going so far. Let's get the black color going. Now with the black, I'm going to use the size 2 Princeton Velvet Touch. And so let's use the black one right here. We'll put just a tiny bit. Actually, I think I might be able to do everything that I need on the black right from the lid. So I'm going to take a little bit of the black out of the lid and just put it right here. Nice. So for the eye, I want to make sure all the hairs are together and one of the hairs is apart. So I just pushed it so it's all together so that I can get the black going here and be a little more precise with it. I can either leave a little bit of the white for the sort of to add the life, right, to the eye, or I can always go back later and add in the white with my favorite white, which is the Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. So if I ever have an area and I go, oh my gosh, I need to put some white on there, you can use white gouache, but this stuff is just amazing. The bleed proof white. It's nice and thick and it sits right on top and it's awesome. Yeah. Okay, good. So what I want to do, let me get my brush wet again. Make sure it's plenty wet to pick this up because the eye is actually, the black part of the eye actually comes down just a little bit more like that. There it is. Hello. Woo, starting to look good. Let's do this. Now I think I have enough black there. So let's close that up, right? That's the trick. Sometimes you can just grab it from the lid. You don't need to always squeeze it out. Okay, here we go with some of the black. I'm using the size 2 and I'm choked. You see what I mean? I'm choked way down on the ferrule when I want to get good lines going. I want good control here. So I'm choking up on it. Okay. There we go. So this is sitting on top of that orange. Instead of it being underneath the orange, it's on top of the orange. There we go. Yay. What I'm noticing is that some of them come up like this, and then they split at the end. So I'm splitting some of them at the end here. Let's split this one and split that one. Why not? I'm going to make that one not go all the way, and then I'm going to split this one off. There you go. Let me bring it up closer so you can kind of see what I'm doing there. And don't be afraid to turn your artwork. I know some art teachers are like, you need to move your hand. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. There are as many ways to make art as there are people, right? So it is a-okay if you feel like you need to move your hand or you need to move your paper. Okay. Woohoo! There you go. Now you've got a cute little fin sticking out there. Actually, it looks like it goes just a little bit more like that. There. Okay. Let me get this to connect. There. Okay. Hello, little one. Oh my goodness. It's so cute. Okay, I've got a little bit of gray here. So I'm just going to come right here behind the. Oh, there we go. I just want to make the mouth stand out a little bit more. So I'm bringing a little bit of that gray in there. There. That way the mouth stands out a little bit more. Like it, like it. Now this goes like this, actually. I guess I'm outlining the whole mouth, it looks like. Okay, there, we got it. Okay, and then time to come back here to the back. Oh, you know what? This is kind of, I have a little more water in here than the black. And there is, these actually, there are little fin marks that come up here. So I'm gonna actually draw them in. Little fin marks at the top here of this fin. So let's do that. Just in order to show that, yeah, it is a fin. It's not just the blue. There's actually some black, and the orange just sort of comes along with it underneath it. Okay, there we go. But having the right size brush really helps. So having this size 2 really helps. There we go. A little bit more water, pick up a little bit more black. I'm using the Holbein Acrylic Gouache right now. So it's going to dry with a beautiful matte finish, which is why illustrators love gouache. And some people prefer the acrylic gouache because the layers dry. As you use each layer and it dries, then it's permanent. And so some people prefer that. Some people prefer the regular designers or illustrators gouache. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Just do this. There we go. So you can tell it's a fin. And the same is true at the bottom. There's a little bit of fin stuff going on. This is beginning to get dry. And here the black, so I'm adding more water to keep it hydrated. Ooh, let's go ahead and work on the tail. So the tail comes here. Let's bring this up. And so very similar to this fin right here, we're basically just bringing the little bits up here. There we go. And it doesn't have to be even. They're a little bit thicker at the bottom. And then you can sort of lift it up a little bit and have it be a little less thick. So I'm going to bring it up so I can show you. You see how it's going there with the tail. Okay. But I like to turn my artwork so that I have the right, so I feel like I have the right angle going. Okay. Let's bring this from here and here. Just vary it a little bit. And I make it a little wobbly, which is fine because then that way it looks a little more natural. Oops, let's make it thicker down here. Eee. There we go. And then as we come out toward the edge, it's going to get just a little thinner toward the edge here. Like that. And then this one right here. There we go. Let me get the one on this edge just a little further out. Nice. There's the tail. And I'm actually going to go just a little, like sort of roughly along the edge here. To sort of connect it up. There we go. So now the tail's connected. Woohoo! And the last thing to do is right here. Then we're going to go into the background and see what we can get with the greens in the background, because it looks like that's what the picture has, a lot of green stuff in the background, as well as some other fish, but we're just going to focus on this fish. Let me see here. Oi. Okay, so coming from right here, there's a little bit thicker bit. Actually, it needs to be blacker. Blacker, 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 like that. Sometimes they almost look like whiskers underneath here. So that's the whiskers. And then this is actually just, I'm just going to do, again, some marks to sort of indicate that it is a fin. Some blackish gray. It doesn't have to go the whole length of the fin, just part of the way. And some of it close together, some of them further apart. But it'll just give the impression of the little ribs that you find in the fins here. So there's a little bit more toward the back, like this, and then it's going to sort of comes up and in, up and in, up and in, like that. There we go. Okay, hello. And like I said, what's nice about this fish is the areas in here are more or less white back in here. I can create a very soft wash, if I want to put color in that area. But like, what color would I put in there? I don't know, maybe a tiny bit of this pink. See, this pink is already dry. So even though it came up into my brush, it's all, it's got little bitty bits in it because of the nature of the acrylic in it. Okay. So see, I think I would want to put like the palest pale of, let's use the scarlet. So we use the orange for the lines, and then I use the little bit of leftover carmine from the eye for the little pink areas, but this is scarlet. So scarlet is sort of a combo. Let's get a little bit bigger brush because we want to do kind of a wash. Okay, so let me see if y'all can see that. Nope. On YouTube, they can't see it. On Whatnot, you can see it. So I'm going to bring it over here. There we go. You see it better. So this is scarlet. And it's quite bright right there. So I'm having to add lots and lots and lots and lots of water to it. Lots and lots and lots of water. Come on now. Tons of water, because I just want it to be a blush. So let's start back here with just the blush. You know what I think I'll do? I'll just sort of put the blush in areas where it would be a little bit darker. So like along here, just to give it more of a shape, just to make it look a little bit more rounded. There you go, like that. So I don't think that I need to put this. Do I need to put it like a little bit more in here? Not much. Let's lift some of it because I don't want it to be too dark. Well, this has to go a little bit rounder and a little bit more and through here. What I'm trying to do is just give it the semblance of a sort of shape to it. There we go. There. So that it looks like it's a little bit whiter. Actually needs to be slightly more here. And the whiter needs to be right in here. There we go. Okay, so we've got a little bit of it. I just left a little bit of it with the white so that it has the look of, here, let's put that there. So it gives it a little bit of dimension to the roundness there. Okay, hello, little one. There's the fish. Love that. And now let's go ahead and put some green in the background. Green, greeny blue, right? So I'm actually going to pull out the sky blue from here because I like the look of the sky blue. It's a little bit more water-like. The ultramarine blue we were using is just a little more dark. But believe it or not, this sky blue, when I add a lot of water to it, it's going to look more water-like. So there's that. And at first, I want to put a bunch of the blue in there. So I'm going to use the big brush here. Ooh, lots of water, lots and my goodness gracious, it's Holbein. So it has tons of pigment in it. Even if it's the studio grade, it has tons of pigment in it. So what I'm doing is just getting a little bit close, not too close. That's why I like to use the angle brush or the flat brush like this, or an angle brush. And what I want to do is put the blue in here and keep it really wet. And then I'm going to drop some of the green in. So keep that sucker wet. Wet, 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 wet. Yee. Let's do this. Hello there, fishy. Keep it wet. So even if it looks like it's starting to dry over here, keep it wet. Just keep adding more water. Let's pick up a little more pigment here. So this is the, if you just joined us, I'm working with the Holbein Acrylic Gouache right now. Okay. Let's bring some across the back. And I like using the either an angle brush or a flat brush in order to be able to get into these little areas like this. Right here and right here. And let's just come right in here. Trying not to touch the fish at all. Let's just make sure it stays nice and wet. Wet, 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 wet. Lots of water. Okay. Because this paper is very thirsty and the paper just wants to, yeah, the paper wants to oop, dry very quickly. Okay, so this is a deeper green. And then we've got the lighter green right here. So for both of them, I'm going to add a bunch of water to them. Let's move the paint over here for the moment. And now I'm going to use my big round brush. And let's add lots of water to the light green. And I'm just going to drop some of it in. Make it look a little bit like kelp or something, right? But I want to keep the brush wet and I want to keep the background wet. So let's just do this. And I'm also going to come up here. Plenty of water, because I want it to just sort of stretch around, right? Hold on, lots of water, lots of water. And I just want to put some up in this way, like this. Okay, and then let's put some of the darker in there. So this is the Viridian color, nice and dark, but I want to add lots of water to it. And then I'm going to drop that in here as well to sort of give the green a little bit of dimension. And I want it wet, 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 so it'll spread. little bit more of the darkness down below, right? Whoop. There we go. A little bit more. And just a little bit in here as well. Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. Well, I like it. I also like that the fish is a little bit tight in the way that I've taken the time to do all the details. And then the background is just super, super soft. I like that. Just keep adding a little bit more water in here to get it to spread. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. There's a little too much of a line right here. So I need to bring this sort of out like this a little bit more. There we go. Okay, well, that makes me very happy. Oh, I see a couple of little dots there. And so I think I'll lean into that a little bit with some extra colors here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the fish and then just do some dots like this, but protect the fish so it doesn't actually get on the fish. And then same over here like this, so I can put some on there and it doesn't get on the fish itself. I'm just hiding the fish. Let's get these two together a little bit. Okay, and a little bit over here as well. There we go. Oh, how fun. How fun is that? Nice. I like it. I like it. Need just a little bit more over here. Right, as I look at the picture. Oh, so much fun. There we go. That's nice. And I would say balanced. Let's do just a little bit more here. Maybe I can do this. There we go. Lovely. Hello, fishy. How you doing? All right. Well, that was fun. I'm in love with this fish already. So that's on, this is 8x8 watercolor paper. Fabulous. Now I have this colored paper over here. Did I bring it up close to y'all so you can see it a little bit better? There you go. So you can see it just a little bit better. Fun. So it's got enough looseness and yet, some detail. Cute. What a cutie. Here's what the original looked like if you want to sort of compare the two. Although I don't always strive to, I don't strive for realism. I'm painting because I want to just sort of give it the feel, give this the feel of what I see here, right? But I'm not a realistic painter. I'm more of an impressionistic painter. All right. Now that was on white paper. Let's do a quick maybe goldfish. Let's move this out of the way. And let's do a quick, ooh, maybe we'll do the beta. What color? What color? I really want to do it on this pink because I'm crazy. Okay. So this was the ugly book paper. I'll show you in just a second. Let's tear this page out. So it does not say that it's made for watercolor, but the nice thing about gouache is you don't have to use a lot of water with gouache. You can use the gouache a little bit thicker, but this is by the company that makes ugly books. There'll be a link to the paper in the description of the video on YouTube later tonight. I'll go back in and add it. But ugly books, and it's made in the USA, which is awesome. And so this pad has how many sheets? 25 sheets, 5 of each of these 5 colors. So I just wanted to try this. I wanted to try this pink. So I know it's a little bit crazy. Let's do this. I want to get this color out of here. So I'm just going to spray it down with some water and then take a paper towel. Let's take a paper towel here and wipe it out. And that is one good thing about using the butcher block or butcher tray is that even if you've got acrylic paint, and even if the acrylic paint has started to dry, that enamel will help to release the paint as long as it's not caked on. If it's caked on, then okay, I'm going to tell you the trick. If you have acrylic paint in your butcher's tray and it's fully dry, let's say you left it overnight, okay, because somebody rang the doorbell and you didn't come back to it, something like that, then the cool thing is that you can just pour rubbing alcohol in here. So I always have rubbing alcohol on my desk. So right here, just like regular isopropyl alcohol, this is assuming that it dried because um, the what do you call it? Solvent for acrylic is alcohol. So you can just spray it with some alcohol like this and then leave it, like get it all wet and leave it for a few minutes and then come back and then wipe it out or scrape it off. It will break up the acrylic and then it makes it super easy to clean up. So there's your tip for the day. Oh, here we go. Now I smell the rubbing alcohol, but that's okay. The nice thing too about rubbing alcohol is what it dries up really fast, right? So let me just spray this with some water so that it's clean when I put some more paint in it. All right. So here we go. So I just want to see how this ugly paper takes the paint. Let's see. So for this one, I want some of the blue. This is going to be the beta fish like this one. And so let's see. I've got some blue, some of the purples here. See? Right. I might need some of this one right here. Little tiny bit of the black and some white. Some white. I don't think I'm going to need these other colors that I have here for the moment. So I will, this carmine, I might need a little bit of that. But instead of painting your background, I'm starting with a paper with a background. Now this paper does not have any texture to it. It's smooth. So perfect for drawing and markers and things like that. And if you missed it earlier, this is the book. This is Ugly Pad, but it's from the Ugly Books Company. Okay. And let's see what we have here. How do I want to start it? What I like to do is I like to give myself an outline. So let's, instead of using a pencil for an outline, I'm going to use one of my small brushes here, and I'm going to use white. Because the cool thing is, oh, wait a minute, my water's dirty, isn't it? So let's clean it out. The sink's in the other side of the room, but I just keep a yogurt, or like this is Lebanese cheese, soft cheese. And then I just pour that out like that. And I have a bottle right here. Let's get the bottle so I can freshen it up. Let's get the color out of there. If there's any color residue in there, like that. There we go. And then that way I can put some fresh water in there for this project. This one we're just going to do quick to see how the the acrylic gouache does on the ugly paper, which is a nice thick drawing paper, but you never know. It might work beautifully. So let me just take a small brush like this. We'll use some white and I will make an outline for the fish, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Right? So let's just get some white on here. I don't want it to be too wet because this is not watercolor paper. So you can use the paper for mixed media, but I'm trying to make it like a middle wetness. Okay, so we want this fish. Here's the mouth. It goes sort of like that. And then it sort of comes up like that. That's the other part of the mouth. And then this comes here. Whoops, it kind of goes like this. There we go. Kind of goes there. And then it comes like this. And then it comes here. And then, so there's that part of the fish. And then this part. Oop, I twist my brush to get it up as much of a point as I can. So I just twist it. Welcome in over on Whatnot and YouTube if you're just joining us. So here, I'm going to bring this down. This almost comes straight down like this, and then it begins to come up like this. So I'm working on a new paper just to see how it will take the gouache. Okay, cool. Like that. And then we've got the eye. The eye is right down here. Okay. Hold on just a second. My iPad is charging, but it's saying sometimes when I use it, when I'm live on Whatnot, for some reason it uses up all of the power, which makes me crazy. Okay, so there's the eye right there. And let's do that because it kind of goes a little bit flat on top. And then where's the gill? The gill comes like right here, like that. And then back here, we've got right from about here, we've got this comes down and it's kind of jagged along here. This is the back. Now from here is where the back fin is. So the back fin comes off of here and down like this. And then it's very sort of jagged along here. And then it comes down like this. And then woof, it's like super, super, super wide over here. Why is it that like the other one, I'm putting the fish over to the left? Huh? Huh? Why do I do that? I don't know. I should have started him over here, right? That's why we practice. Okay, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of water because it seems to be getting a little bit dry and doesn't want to come off the brush. Now over here, there's another one that sort of comes out here like this, and then comes out here, and then comes out here and out here like this, like that. And then this one actually comes up and over back behind here. Okay, so we have the top fin, we have the bottom fin right here. It just comes along there. Oh, it's a beta. Look at that. And now I'm going to put some of the little scales on there. So we have just some little scales here. And then we've got some scales that come back this way. Just to give a feel for, I'm going to put some other colors on here. And of course, there's sort of a line that goes right along here. And then they get much darker on the bottom, right? Because the light is more on the top. Okay. There we go. Just, the paper's actually taking it very nicely, so I'm happy about that. Right. Ooh, you know what? This comes down. Yep. Where does this? There's little teeny tiny ones right as the tail meets the body. There's little teeny tiny scales right back here. There we go. Okay. Let me just get a few more of the whites in here because this is kind of white here. Yeah, this actually works pretty well on this this paper. Like I said, I'm not using a lot of water. I'm just using I'm letting the opaqueness of the um, gouache do its thing, do its work. Okay, just adding a little bit more of the dimension here for that. Oh, it's actually working out pretty well. Let me bring it up closer so you can see. Now, I find with even with the watercolor paper, oftentimes the white gouache will sort of soak in a little bit, so it's not as stark as you might like it to be. But you can just go and do a second coat. It it works out great. So it is a-okay to do a second coat. I'm just looking at the way that the fin is going here. We're going to come back in with some blue and some purple. So I'm just adding a few gestural lines here, right? With while I still have a little bit of white on the palette here. Just do this and do this. Hello there, little beta. How you doing? How you doing? That a little bit more in here like this. A little bit more coming up and over like that. There we go. Okay, I like it. I like it. Now that was a lot of white. That's the interesting thing is there's just a tiny bit of white, like there's like a white flash underneath here. So I'm using the dry brush so I can get some of the white, but I'm going to be covering it with another color. And then it's very white up in here. So again, I'm dry brushing. So that's just lightly dragging it across so that I get a broken line there. Okay. So do you see the broken line as it goes across there? That's just using it dry brush, dry brush. Let's do just a little more dry brush here at the tail. I think that's a good idea. There we go. Okay, hello, fishy. There's actually a lot of white right behind the mouth right here. I'm just going to add a little bit more in there like that. And there's a little bit more white along here too, right in front of the eye. Okay. And a little bit more white up in here. Doop. Dry brush. Get those streaks. Okay. Hello, hello. Now let's do some other colors in here. We got some purples and some, now your water is going to get dirty really fast. So what I like to do is I like to dip my brush in and then wipe as much of the paint out as I can, dip it in, wipe it out. And that way my water didn't turn completely white, right? Because it could have just turned like completely white from what was in my brush. Okay, now I can do it. Now it's still got a little bit milky, but it's just not as milky as it would have been. It would have been white. Okay, and I also want to get rid of the white that's here, like this. There we go. Okay, let's see. Let's see, let's see. I have two violets here. So I have a dark, dark and a medium with the magenta. So let's put both of these out, and we don't need much, right? So let's do the lighter one here. Remember, you can always put more color out. You just can't suck it back into the tube. And there's the dark. Okay, so we've got the light and the dark. If we need more, let's start with this pink right here. Ooh, it's so pretty. They call it magenta. Wow, gorgeous. I don't want too much water. I want it to be kind of like the consistency of cream, heavy cream. So there's a bunch of this pink right in here. Let's just bring it up in here. I know there's pink in the background, so it's kind of redundant, but it is a darker pink. And when I put it over top of the white also, then that helps. Okay. What I'm doing here is bringing it down just little bits so that you can, a lot of times the fish will have a line right across here. So I just added it a little bit there. And another thing is right down here, there is a fin that comes like this. And it's this color. Oh, there we go. Little fin there. And then in addition to that, there are a couple of other fins that just come right up like this. So I can see I need a little bit more of that paint because I want it to be nice and thick on there. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit more. Come on, pink, magenta. So not too much water. I want it to be nice and thick here. So I've got, yeah, and then I've got another one right here. So a lot of times with fish like this, they have these little wispy parts right below their fin. So this one is their fin. I'm going in just a little thicker right here. So they've got their fin right there, and then they have the little wispies that come off the fin. And then underneath here, what I'm noticing underneath here is there's some of that really dark. So I'm going to pick up some of the really dark right here. But then the rest of this is light. So some of it is really dark on the tip. And kind of give us that dark to light. So I've got both colors on my brush right now. Nice. Here we go. The size brush I'm using is a size 4 of the Velvet Touch. There we go. We don't have to stay right where the white lines are. We can just go over where they are. Fun. Let's get a little bit more of the magenta in the belly of the brush, and then some more of the purple right here. Just bring it out. Fun. I like the the way that the fins work on the fighting fish. Now I do need to bring some more dots of this dark purple into here along the belly. I can see there. Okay, so we'll bring some more of these dots in here of the dark ones. Nice. Let's do it again. I have to load more of the pink sort of into the middle. That's the magenta. And then put more of the violet on the tip so that I can just do this and bring it like this. A little bit more of the dark. Come on, dark. Yee. I have to grab some more of the dark. I'm trying to avoid where this is coming back. Okay. Almost done with the bottom one. Woo. Let's get a little bit more of the dark purple right in there. Okay, that's fun. That's fun. I like having the pink still show through, right? It's nice. Okay, where else can I use some of the, I just grabbed a little bit more water so I can activate this dark purple. And there is some dark purple right over here because it goes behind the this area right here where the fin is, where the what's that thing called? The gill. There's a little bit behind the gill. You just like that. So it's okay that it's going over top of the white. I can always bring the white back up or not. Okay, cool. And then there's some there we go. Let's see toward the front here. There's just a little bit of this sort of purpley going right in here up to the eye. Dink. There we go. Just added a little bit there. Welcome in over on Whatnot and on YouTube. We're almost done with this fish demonstration. We're painting fish with Holbein Acrylic Gouache. Fun, 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 fun. Okay, what about the mouth? There's a little bit of that purple right there that goes right here in the mouth. There we go. Sort of separates those two sections right there. Just to give it a little bit of interest right there. There we go. And then there's going to be some purple underneath the eye right here, just to give the eye some extra depth like that. And back here. I know there's plenty of pink, but you know, I'm going to use just a little bit more violet here. Actually, I'm going to need more violet. So let's put a little more violet out, just a tiny bit. And we're going to have to go to blue. Let's, what I need to do is right here on the side fin, we need a little bit of definition. So we're just going to do a little bit. Oops, I should probably do it this way. We're just going to do a little bit like this so that you can see the ribbing that's going on here. And there we go. Okay, cool. So now you see that that is a side fin. Let's go ahead here also and just do a little bit of ribbing on these. Can't hoot. Just to show some definition here. There we go. A little bit right there as well. Okay. Now I want to bring some of the dark purple, and then we're going to go for some blue, but some of the dark purple also is up in here. Just part of it, just little bits. It's probably kind of the shadow of the underside of the of these what are they called, scales, right? There we go. And then there's a bunch underneath here, because this part is a little bit more in the dark. So let's just put a whole bunch in here. They get smaller as they go toward the bottom, bigger at the top. Then they just get smaller. Almost done with that. Oop, not enough on there. Let's get some more color on there. There we go. Yeah, this paper's performing very nicely. Now, I'm not gonna so much. I was able to get actually a little bit of dry brush out of it just by using a brush that didn't have very much water in it, right? Okay, lovely. Just putting some little marks down in here. There, great. I like it. I like it. I'm just going to put some back by the tail. They're just um, small scales. So there you go, like that. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. So for back here, we've got we actually have a lot of purpley, white with purple and some blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of white out here so that we can mix it with the purple. And then I'm also going to put some blue, which we might also need to mix with a little bit of white. Ooh, maybe we'll use the sky blue. Let's see. Let's put the sky blue out here. Nice. Okay. Let's just use a little bit of the purple together with some of the white. So we just have a barely there sort of heather color. And that's actually what's on this tail right here. Okay, I could see I'm going to have to use a combination here. Let's just do this here too. Oop. So we've got some sort of lavender going on there. Let's put some dark on the tip so that when I do it like this, there we go. Nice. Get a little dimension going when you have more than one color on the brush, right? We've got a little bit of pink, a little bit of purple, and some white. A tip right there. So let's just bring this like this. Oof, and swoosh it. That's fun. I don't like that being so white right there though. So just added a little bit of the purple. Let's do that. Okay, she's looking good. Hey, Kimmercast, welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for sharing. I'm working with the Holbein Acrylic Gouache. So when it's dry, it's permanent with this kind. Let's add a little bit of that pink in there and grab some of the white. So we get some nice contrast going. And I'm working on some fun, what they call ugly paper. It's by a company called Ugly Books. Okay, let's do this. And then I like the way it dries very, dries somewhat opaque. Let's get this to come out this way just a little bit more. Just bringing a little bit more of that sort of magenta in there. There we go. Because it is okay if we go past the white lines, right? It's fine. It's fine. Those are just our guidelines. Okay, there's lots of white. It's just that up here near the other fin right here, it's going to get just slightly darker. So let's bring a little bit of the blue in with the white. There we go. Because this part right here is a little bit darker because of the, we got to bring some more blue down in here too, don't we? There we go. Let's make it just a little more heathery, Because it's acrylic, well, it doesn't matter just that it's acrylic. Oftentimes with, looks great on that color background. Thank you, Kimmercast. Yeah, I was saying that this is what we did earlier, which was on a white watercolor paper. And so I think they call these silver dollar fish, where they're big and round and flat. And so this was working with these acrylic gouache on a white background. But I just got this week this ugly paper. Actually, I got these ugly books here that have this like incredible, see the paper inside? Incredible bright papers inside. And so they also have the loose, well, it's not loose, it's in a pad, 25 sheets, 5 of each color here. And I got it because I wanted to use these bright colors with acrylics and with gouache. I thought it'd be fun. And so that's why I'm experimenting on it right now with this acrylic gouache. Okay, let's see if we can make it a little pinker, pinker, pinker. So let's just get this. There we go. So yes, there's blue there, but I'm bringing more of the lavender in there. What I like to see is when people do their artwork on these bright colors like this, and then they come back and they do the background in a contrasted color, but just that little tiny bit of pink shows through, right? Isn't that fun? So much fun. Okay, so this is the one in the back. There we go. Whoop. And if you're using this thickly enough, it doesn't really, see how the paper is barely, there's barely any buckling. That's because I'm using gouache, I'm trying to be as using it thickly, so there's not a lot of water in it. And that way I can get away with using it on this kind of paper and not have the paper buckle too much. Let's just do this a little bit more. Okay. Hello there, little one. Beta, right? Isn't that what they're called? Beta, or some people call them Siamese fighting fish, right? Because when two males, this is a male, and when the two males get next to each other, whoa, sparks, right? They just want to fight each other. That's what they want to do. Okay, not enough paint. Let's get it like this, and like this. Whew. And let's get some more of the pink in there, so that the color's just a little more purpley. Yep. There we go. Now, because it's a colored paper, I was able to start with a white outline, which I'm really enjoying the white outline. Here we go. Right here. Let's see. A little bit more here. There. Just to add more little flicks here. Oh, that is fun. Fun, fun, fun. So I have to keep dipping back into here to keep my brush. I don't want it to be too wet. I want it to be sort of moderately wet, right? Okay, let's do this. Now I'm being very careful right here because I have another, the top fin coming over. Let's do that. Let's just bring this here and do right here. Let's get some more of that pink if it'll come up. I don't know if it will or not. Ew. There we go. So that is the the back tail. And then there's another fin that comes over the top. You see this one right here? Sometimes it goes like straight up like that when they're mad, right? Or when they're in fighting position. Eee. Okay, so this one's going to have more blue in it. So let's just bring some more of the blue this way. I'm using a size 4 Princeton Velvet Touch brush. Lovely. Okay. And I'm twisting it at the end to try to get sort of a tip going on it. But it looks like I'm going to have to grab a little bit more water maybe. Eek. There we go. So yeah, I needed to have this. Let's do a little more violet so it gets a little darker, similar to what's down here. Let's just put, what I was saying earlier is because this is acrylic gouache, when it dries, you can't re-wet it. It like crumbles as it if you try to re-wet it. So it's better if you only put a little bit out on your palette and then refresh as you need to. Let's do this right here. Oof. Okay, that's looking good. Ooh, I like this sky blue. I like the sky blue with that. So let's do more of the sky blue here. Nice. Oh, he's so cute. You're such a cutie. I think I'm actually going to need to bring a little bit of that down into here. Kind of almost like a gray. Just to sort of have them talk to each other, the top and the bottom here. Oops. Oh well. Let me go right over top of that. I lost my grip, and so it fell. There we go. So this and this will kind of talk to each other a little bit better. Let me get it a little more purpley. Oof. Okay. Let's do more of the purple up here. Ooh, push down, lift up. Okay, darker, darker, darker. Let's get more of the blue here. And now I'm getting some of the white with the blue also. Just do like this. And then when the paper already has some color on it, it makes it like less pressure to fill all the space. And I love that. Okay, let's get a little bit more of the purple going there. So I've got a little more purple coming in this way. I need more dark purple. Welcome in everybody on Whatnot. I'm doing a quickie art lesson where I'm painting with acrylic gouache. There are tons of artworks in my buy now on Whatnot. And if you're watching on YouTube, then I invite you to use the link in the description of the video or the QR code at the top of the screen to pop over here to Whatnot. And then you'll be able to see some of the artworks that I have available on Whatnot tonight, which is a lot. Okay, let's do this. Let's do a little more purple. Bring more purple in over here. A little more blue. So I'm doing a what some people call the Siamese fighting fish, right? Or a betta fish. Okay. Do a little bit more dark purple in here, just for a little contrast. Okay, so I like how natural this looks and natural this looks, but I don't like this is too like the way the lines go. So I'm going to fix that. Fix it. I'm going to put some of the This is the magenta color that's underneath that. And there's still some purple on here. So let me grab some of the magenta and some of the purple together. And then I'll just do some more over top of here to sort of get it more looking more swooshy. There we go. A little bit more of that. Nice. Okay, a little more of the red. Nice. Nope, it's still coming out too leggy. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I like that. Better, better, better. Like that. This one here, let's get a little more pink on it. Just trying to make it look more like it's swished like these do. So it's looking better. It's getting better. Better, better, better. And I need to have it swish down there. It's just a lot of it is the same length, which it is in the picture as well. So let me adjust this just a little bit more, just a little bit. Because it does come down just a little bit more right here. Okay, that's better. Better, more better, more better. Okay. And let's see. Sometimes you have to take your hands away, right? Take your hands away and just see where you are. There's a little bit more of the blue in here. So let me just grab a little bit more of the blue together with the purple right here. So let's just, and then a little bit more up this way too. And the reason for that is because of the shadow from what's above it. And then this as well, right here. Okay. And I probably need to put just a little bit more in there, right? Doop. A bunch of dry brush going on here, which, you know what? Dry brush is good. I like dry brush. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. That's looking good. There. Okay. I would say that does it for that part. Okay, phew. Now, let's put the eye in. Hello, eye. I just need a tiny bit of black, but let's go to the little brush. Where is, that was the size 4. Where's my size 2? I don't know where I put my size 2, y'all. There it is, way over there in the corner. Okay, so what I was showing earlier is that you can take your, if you only need a tiny bit of color, you can take your color right out of the lid right here, right? There's some black on there. So if I put it in here, see where I have my black? So I don't need to squeeze any out. I can just take it right out of the lid there. Okay, so this kind of goes across like that. And then it comes down. This kind of comes over like that and then down. Nice. Hello there. Hello, fishy, fishy. Now I'm going to get a little bit of water with the black so that I have gray. Now I have just a gray. And I'm going to use the gray in here just to, because the rest of it is dry, right? The rest of what I was using is already dry. So I can use this gray to create a shadow. So let's get just a little more gray on my brush because it's sort of a shadow goes this way, which makes sense. That's the underside of the fish. So let's get just a tiny bit more to go right along here. Boop. And then just a little bit right here for behind the gill, just to bring it behind the gill like that. Just some suggestions of having some shape to it. Okay. And then where else might we use just a tiny bit of black as a shadow? Just right along here, going up into the fin. I'm just going to lift a little bit of it so it's not too dark. It's there and it's perceptible, but it's not too dark. And of course, there was some extra gray in here along this bottom one. And there should be a little bit of a shadow right here along where the tail meets the bottom fin, right? There we go. Yay. Let's look at the mouth and see if there's anywhere where I can shadow. Just drop in a tiny bit of shadow on the mouth right here, and right above the mouth. Just gives it a little bit of extra dimension, right? And the head here. Okay. It's almost imperceptible, but your eyes will see it. Your eyes will notice. Let's do this. Let's put a little bit more dark here. There we go, in there. And then, is there anywhere else where it needs a little extra darkness? A little extra right in there. And a little extra right in there. Okay, cool. Ooh, and around the eye. So most of the time there's a little tiny shadow around the eye because the eye is curved, right? So I need to come in here and add just a little bit of that darkness in right around the white part of the eye, just to give it a little bit of dimension there. There we go. Yeah, then that makes it look like the eyeball is sitting up. Let's get a little bit over the white as well. There. Yay. That gives the eye a little bit of that extra dimension. Hello there. Now, what I'm thinking of for the background, which is kind of crazy, is a yellow. Just because, I don't know. Well, I do know the opposite on the color wheel of violet, which there's a lot of violet and blue in here. The opposite of the violet, so these in this area on the color wheel, the opposite are your yellows and your warm yellows. Okay. And if you need to see that, let me pull out my color wheel. Where are you, color wheel? I have several color wheels here. Let me find the right one. So when you're looking over here, you've got the red violet and the violet. That's where we are right there. And so the opposite of that is a yellow green and a yellow right here, right? And so I could put green or I could put yellow, but I think I'm going to put yellow because I like the yellow being the opposite of purple. So let's do that and watch what happens. Okay, this is already mostly dry. So let me move these out of the way. I like it. I like it. So let's just move these out of the way. I'm just going to spray this with a little bit of water and we're going to take it out of there. So we have room for our yellow. So if you weren't here earlier, this is a Jack Richardson butcher tray that they sell as a palette, butcher tray palette. Yay, there we go. Cleaned up. Let me get some more paper towel in hand. And now, of course, we're going to use a big brush. Which brush do I want? This one or this one? I think the bigger one. Okay, so I'm thinking, I don't know. This is too like, I think I'm going to have to mix that one and the deep yellow to get the color yellow that I want. So let's see. Let's put some out here. That's a warm yellow, which is good to the opposite of the cool of the violet. And then, because this is a cool, so what I have here is lemon yellow is a cool yellow, and then deep yellow is a warm yellow, right? And so since violet is a cool color, I want to put a warm color next to it. And that's why I was looking at the yellows, but the one that I usually use, which is lemon yellow, is just too cold. I need a warmer color next to it. Ooh, there you go. That's pretty nice. But is it enough? It's not enough for me to go around it. So I'm going to have to put some more. Beak. There's another dollop of the lemon yellow and another dollop. You want to, if you're mixing a color, you want to mix enough so that you don't run out, y'all. Because if you get halfway around and then you run out, you have to mix it again, and then you don't know if you're going to get the same mix. It's not a good thing. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go around this. The nice thing is when you have a colored paper is that you can still let peaks of that colored paper show through, right? That's perfectly fine. Yes. So I don't have to cover all the pink. I can let some of the pink show through, which is awesome. Okay, here we go with the face. Hello, face. Hello, beta. Darling. So I don't know if you can see it, but these strokes are it's pretty thick. You can actually see the brush strokes. See now the paper, which is not designed for lots of water because it's more of a drawing paper, is beginning to buckle, which is fine. It's fine. But it's buckling because I'm using a lot of paint with water in it, that has water in it. Okay, that's fun. Am I going to have enough? Okay, y'all, I mixed twice, but I don't think I'm going to have enough. So I'm going to have to mix again. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? That is so much fun. Hey, Mark in Minnesota. Welcome in over on Whatnot. This is doing a the workshop tonight is working with acrylic gouache. And this is the Holbein Acrylic Gouache. And here I'm working on a pink paper, which is not designed necessarily for, it's not designed for watercolor, but I figured since we're working with gouache, gouache is a little more dry than watercolor. And of course it's more opaque. So that's why I figured it would be fun to try it with a technique like this. Yeah, you might have noticed or not that when the gouache dries, it dries darker than what you see here. Okay, there we go, like that. Let's just do it right along here as well. There we go. The paper's buckling a little bit, but not too badly, not too badly. I like it. I like where it's going. Well, I would consider this a success. Actually, let's do some more right here. I've just got to get more of the yellow back here on this side. Alrighty then. on the tail. So this is a Siamese fighting fish, or a beta fish, some people call it. And I wanted to do it on pink paper. I thought it'd be fun to do this on pink paper, because I like when other artists do this kind of technique and then some of that pink paper shows through the back. And I think that is so cool. Now, I'm not carrying it all the way over because I set my fish a little bit over this way on the page when I did the initial drawing. So let's see here. It's a little something got caught in there. Okay, let's get it up here. Nice. Okay. I have enjoyed the heck out of that. Oops. Don't be getting it on me like I normally would. Okay. I'm just adding a tiny bit of water to get it liquefied, not too much. The paper is crinkling a little bit from putting a lot of wetness on it there. Is that why is there a little tiny bit of pink right there? See if I can just eke that little last bit of yellow out of here to do the edges, because I want to be sure that it's blocked off like that. That's so cute. I like it. It's my first attempt at using a really bright background with gouache like this. So I'm enjoying that. Let's see. And I like in this background that there are brush marks showing. That's great. Okay. Well, that was fun. Love it. Thank you, Kimmercast. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, very much. That is fun. Now, if I did want to go back and put a little white dot on the eye, of course, I would use my bleed proof white right here. The Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. That is what I would use to go back and put a dot on the eye if I wanted to. But I feel like with all the white around it, that it doesn't really need a, it doesn't really need it. Let's see what size of mat this might fit into. I don't think it's going to fit into a 12, will it? Oh, look at that. She's going to fit into a 12 by 12 mat. Ah, I'm so excited. Look at you go, girl. Right? Oh, that is fun. I love it. Okay, great, great. This 12 by 12 mat holds an 8 by 8 image. So I want to go like a little bit bigger than that. This is a 9 by 12 sheet, so I'll cut it down to a 9 by 9 and it'll fit in there beautifully, just like that. Ah, okay, well, that'll be available next week. I'll have it finished up and put into the hey, Florida Glass Girl, welcome in, welcome in. I'll have it put into the where you can buy it next week. So woohoo. Yay, that was fun. And I want to thank you all for coming along.